back to the series on Fruit of the Spirit. I'm Paul Stevens. Today I'm here to talk to you about self-control. First, when we become a Christian, we receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. It's a gift. It's something that we can't earn. It's free. God gives it to us when we become Christians. The Holy Spirit comes with the fruit of the Spirit. You have the fruit of the Spirit living in you when you get the gift of the Holy Spirit. And it literally lives inside of us. God himself lives inside of you. The Spirit of God himself lives in you. You can't beat that. So that's what we have when we become a Christian. We do get the fruit of the Spirit. When I think about the fruit of the Spirit, I believe the hardest one for me is the self-control. Now, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. I work on all these, but I still believe that the hardest one for me is self-control. So the question I have for you is, what are you trying to control? Are we trying to control our eyes? What are we watching? Are we watching things on TV we shouldn't? What are we looking at on our phones or our iPads or our computers? Do we look at other people and envy what they have? So what are your eyes doing? The next thing is what about your ears? What are you listening to? Not what you're necessarily hearing, but what are you listening to? What's on TV? Are you listening to gossip next to the water cooler? Are you participating in that? Are you around people telling bad jokes or cussing and being a part of that? Are you listening to that? Are you listening to the music on the radio that's not good for you? There's some really bad music out there nowadays. So, what about your mouth? This is one of mine. What are you saying? Are you going in with them on the water cooler talk? Are you gossiping with them? Are you screaming at your children? Are you fighting with your spouse? What are you saying to them that's hurtful? Are you overeating? Those are things that we struggle with. Are you drinking and drugging? Are you doing things like that with your mouth? What about your hands? You never really think about your hands that much, but what are you doing with your hands? Or what are you not doing with your hands? Are you not working? Are you being lazy? Are you being idle? What about your feet? Where do your feet take you? Are they taking you to places that you shouldn't be? These are things that you got to ask yourself. Are you able to have self-control with these things? If not, why not? So when you're struggling with self-control, we are learning, we are leaning in on our own sinful desires, because James 1:14 says that we are being tempted by our own evil desires. Whatever the problem is that we're struggling with is really not the problem. And what I'm talking about, this is the behavior of the problem that we're struggling with. You need to figure out what the problem is so you can stop the behavior, is what I'm saying. The battle with self-control is in your mind. When did it start? I believe it starts when we're children. We heard the lie that Satan has been telling us our whole life. So I call this eye high to the kitchen table. And what I mean by that is when I was a little boy, I remember being right here to the kitchen table and hearing Satan tell me that I was not wanted, I was not loved, I was not cared for by my family members, and I probably was aggravating or doing whatever little boys do, but I wanted to play with them and they didn't want me to play, so they told me to leave. Well, I heard Satan tell me that day that I wasn't loved, that I wasn't wanted. And so therefore, then through your life as a child, as you grow up and as you get to be an adult, you keep hearing these things that tell you these same things by maybe others, people that you care for or that you love or that you're working with, and they add on to it. But what it is just lies from Satan that he's telling you that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not loved. These are the lies that Satan tells you. God never told you this, but Satan does. So the things that I've struggled with are self-worth. I've had that. I've struggled with perfectionism. I've studied with people pleaser. All these things that I've struggled with my own self personally. And it all started from the lies that Satan told me when I was a little boy. So the battle with self-control is in your mind. There's no doubt about that. So what you got to do is you got to ask yourself, when did it start? And how's it going on? So ask yourself this. Why do you do what you do? What triggers your emotions? What lie did you hear when you were a little boy or a little girl? How did it make you feel when you were struggling? What did you do to make yourself feel better when you had these struggles going on? Did you eat? Food makes me happy. It gives me peace. Did the gossip make you feel better? Did it make you look better because you were tearing someone else down and you were trying to bring yourself up? Were you lying to cover up who you really are? When you were drinking alcohol, did it make you feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof? When you were doing drugs, did it numb the pain? When you were watching porn, did it make you give you an adrenaline rush and have some control over something? When you were spending too much money, when you were spending money you didn't have, did it make you feel better about yourself for a little while? If you're struggling with any of these areas, or maybe one I didn't mention, how can you fix it? Well, you can't. Because I want to ask you, if you could have fixed it, wouldn't you have already fixed it? But what we find ourselves doing is going in a circle. I'm always going to do better next time. I'm not ever going to do that again. I'm always going to fix it. And yet you don't. So how do you fix this? I was struggling one time, and I had lunch with a buddy of mine that was a counselor. And he said, "How's it going, Paul?" And I said, "Man, it's rough right now. And I'm struggling." And I started talking to him about the struggles, and he went, "Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. I don't want to hear anymore. Stop trying to fix yourself." And I looked at him like, "What are you talking about? I have to fix myself so I can help others." And he's like, "No, Paul. Stop trying to fix yourself, because you can't. Jesus died for you. He knows your name. He knows what you're struggling with. That's the whole reason why he came and died for you, because he knew you was going to struggle. Stop trying to fix it. Jesus already took care of it. What I want you to do is start working on your relationship with God. Start getting closer to God. Lean in on him and not your own self." And the big floodlight went off in my mind. And I went, "Oh my word, I've been trying to fix me all these years. And all I had to do was start working on my relationship with God." And I've been doing that ever since. And you know what? It works. It really does. Now, it's not an overnight fix, but it is a process, and God works in processes. And so as I'm leaning in on God more, and I'm trusting him more, and I'm not worried, those things that I struggle with in self-control seem to just start fading out, because I'm allowing God to fix me instead of me trying to fix me, because I can't, but he can. And that's where I went with that. So we need to stop trying to fix our problems, start working on our relationship with God, and as long as we're trying to fix it, we're focused on us and not God. So stop trying to fix it. Just remember, Jesus took care of this for you. He really did. Now, how do we maintain this being fixed, or how do we have self-control? So what I want to tell you is, I love the story about the Apostle Paul and the struggles. If you read through the New Testament, you can see the things that he went through. The Apostle Paul said in Romans 7, starting in verse 14 to the end of the chapter, he says, "Why do I do the things I do when I don't understand what I'm doing? And what he's doing is he's fighting against the sinful nature, our flesh. Paul is he's struggling with the sinful nature. Then in 2 Corinthians 12:7, he says, "I was given a thorn, a messenger of Satan to torment me." What do messengers do? They tell you things, right? So he's fighting with his mind. He's trying to figure out this thing, what to do. And Satan is tormenting him, probably from the guilt. I don't know this, just my own thoughts. Probably from the guilt of killing Christians. Whatever it is, he's being tormented in his mind. So, but Here's what I love what he says in Philippians 4, 8 and 9. He says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, think about such things. Now, here's what he's saying now. Whatever you have learned or received or heard in me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So, while I'm working on leaning in on God, and when I'm being tempted with emotional stuff, or when I'm being tempted with sin, or when my desires kick up and I'm wanting to follow my desires, when I start thinking about it and I think, okay, is this true? Is this noble? Is this right? Is this pure? Is what I'm feeling from God? Is what I'm thinking from God? And if it's not from God, then who's it from? It's from Satan. Okay, so now I know the difference between right and wrong, and I know which one to fall back on. I know that, hey, look, what I'm thinking right now, what I'm feeling, the anger or whatever's coming along, I know that's not from God, and that's Satan attacking me. And so what I do is I go back and go, okay, Lord, help me through this moment. Help me to be able to have self-control. Help me to be able to get through this moment and be able to not sin against you. And you know what? He does. He helps you. So let me keep going. In verse 12, he says, this is what Paul now says. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. This next line is great. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. Let me read that again. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. I learned the secret. What is the secret? He knows whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure. He knows that where his peace comes from is being able to go, that is not from God. This is from Satan, and he's learned how to battle this thing. And how does he do that? Verse 13, I can do all things through him who gives me strength. Him who gives me strength. Who is the him? It could be God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit. I'm going with the Holy Spirit because usually when it says him, he's talking about the Holy Spirit. He has the Holy Spirit. We're talking about roll the stone away, resurrection spirit that lives in him that helps him to get through this stuff. The same spirit I was talking about earlier is the same spirit that lives in you that can help you with self-control because it's already given to you. It lives in you. That's what you have. You have all of these fruit that live in you right now because God gave them to you freely. And we've got to start using them because if we don't use them, they're going to go away. We need to use them. We need to use that self-control that he gives us. So he figured it out. The Apostle Paul figured out that in his struggles, that he don't have to struggle because he can lean in on God. And that's what I'm here to tell you today. Lean in on God when you start struggling and watch the struggles go away because that is self-control. Love you guys. I hope it helped you. I know it does me. Love you.